Do you like Ghostbusters? Do you like Scooby Doo? Did you ever think the two should have met at some point, and were you disappointed when they barely missed each other on that one episode of The New Adventures of Casper from the 90s? Yeah, I could only find a clip of it in Russian. I'm sorry. I know I'm a failure. Blame my parents. I do. So, here in Scooby Doo Mystery Mayhem, someone in the world decided to smash Ghostbusters and Scooby Doo together. Yes, this is the Scooby Doo game where you go around busting ghosts. The story begins with the gang going to a library in Hambridge because one of Velma's old professors or something has taken it over and it's full of ghosts. But he's not responsible for the ghosts. He runs the library, and I guess he called them. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, gang, you know the drill. Let's split up and get to the bottom of this mystery.
And yes, I know that Frank Welker, the voice of Fred in Scooby-Doo, voiced Ray Stantz in the cartoon The Real Ghostbusters. But did you also know that he did the voice of Cujo for the movie? He didn't do the voice in the book, though. I don't think that's possible. The gang shows up at the library and are greeted by Velma's former teacher, and he looks like he has fetal alcohol syndrome. Look at those eyes and that bridge of the nose. The graphics in the cutscenes look weird in general. Just look at Scooby's eyes. They just seem too close together for my comfort. Weirds me out, man. Here you get introduced not only to the professor, but also Mr. Peabody, who is probably the culprit behind all the goings-on at the library. You go inside and begin an investigation. So this game is not a platformer. It's sort of a stealth game mixed with a puzzle game with a ghost-busting simulator element to it. You have to sneak around ghosts trying not to be seen, at least up until you get the Tome of Doom. So Shaggy and Scooby make their way through the library to the basement where they find a back room with a creepy old book in it. A ghost comes in and the book snatches it up. Like a ghost trap almost. But what is the book? Well, I'll let Velma tell you.
From the looks of it, I'd say it's a medieval grimoire. There seems to be some instructions on how to capture spirits. It says here that you need to have the right page to capture the right kind of creature.
How it works is that you collect a page for the book that allows you to use the book to capture certain types of ghosts. So the ghost page allows you to capture blue ghosts, while the shadow ghost page allows you to capture the shadow ghosts. And yes, these are real ghosts you'll be dealing with in this game. Well, real in the sense of the story world. To catch ghosts, you have to open the book and point it at the ghost you want to catch. Then you bash a button that is shown to you on screen until whichever ghost you want to capture's health is low enough for the book to suck him up. To use it, it needs to be fully charged, which you can only charge by collecting these glowing orbs that litter the levels, or by going up to these evil skull green slime fountains. I don't know what these are, and I don't remember what they're called because I'm mediocre at best. I'm really sorry. I just need to go and get drunk. What am I doing with my life? God damn it. Capturing ghosts with the book is the main gameplay mechanic. You can also switch between Shaggy and Scooby at will. Each has their own abilities. For instance, Scooby can squeeze through tight spaces and Shaggy can say witty things. Scooby snacks act as health, which refills what the game calls the cool meter. If the cool meter depletes, then Shaggy and Scooby will run around and you will have to try to steer them from harm's way until they calm down. This level sees Shaggy and Scooby continuing to search the library. They find clues which you can give to Velma and she'll explain them to you, which equates to little pieces of story you get. You can also collect pieces of sandwiches in each level. However, I'm not sure what it is that these sandwiches get you other than these little cutscenes of Shaggy and Scooby eating the sandwiches at the end of each level. I was never able to find all the sandwich fixins in a given level, so I'm not sure what it does. I'm also too lazy to look it up. I'm sorry. At the end of the Haunting of Hambridge, it's determined that the Tomb of Doom on display in the entryway of the library is a fake, and the one Shaggy and Scooby found is the real Tomb of Doom. Tome of Doom? Fucking words. But the question remains, who was it that made the fake? Probably Mr. Peabody. Well, you have a fight with a sheeted ghost at the end of the level, and the book doesn't suck him up. But you capture him and take the sheet off, and it turns out to be Mr. Peabody. For some reason, he was making a fake Tome of Doom.
Well, perhaps I could hire Mystery Inc. to find out about those missing pages.
Despite the professor's desire to hire them to find out why Peabody was making the fake, the game has another case to solve at...
That would be great, Mr. Dinsdale. But we have another assignment to take care of first. At the Milton Brothers Movie Studio.
The gang goes off to a movie studio, and a mysterious woman shows up and watches them leave, and then walks off into what I can only imagine is England. I mean, look at those smokestacks. Where is this game taking place? And in continuing to talk about how weird the graphics look, check out these security guards. They are the same guards, and they don't move at all. They just stand with blank expressions on their faces. The next level, Mayhem at the Movies, sees the gang at a movie studio ran by the Milton brothers. There are ghosts here, no surprises. The gang gets there, and they come across Mr. Zabriskie, who is likely responsible for the plight of the studio. Zabriskie was currently at the studio when the gang arrived, trying to buy it on behalf of a company called Greenwood Development. You also meet the Milton brothers, who run the studio, and it's a cool scene because you get to experience Frank Welker talk to Frank Welker, and it sounds like an episode of the real Ghostbusters. Scoob and Shag search the movie studio, finding keys to open doors and flipping switches to open doors, finding clues, and finding more pages to the Tome of Doom. This isn't just a gameplay mechanic either, it's actually worked into the story.
What else did you find?
Well, we did find more pages from the Tome of Doom.
Chinkies! Shaggy, Scooby, do you guys realize what this means?
Like it means we're starving.
No, it means that there's a link to the library case.
During this level, you search a lot of movie sets, with there even being a reference to the short From the Earth to the Moon.
Like, what a blast!
At one point, the Red Knight pops out and steals Scooby, and Shaggy has to chase him to a timer. Shaggy searches for Scoob and finds both Scooby and Daphne trapped in some cages, and he has to free them. Here you also get more ghosts to fight, including mummies and poltergeists. Throughout the game, each level does have level-appropriately themed enemies. There are generic ones like the ghosts, which turn up everywhere, but the unique ones are pretty cool. Things like zombies and tornadoes. Yes, tornado ghosts. They are in this game. I particularly like the shadow ghosts you find in the Hambridge level. They're kind of creepy. You also encounter life force doors. You know, those force fields that prevent you from going through a door until all the enemies in an area are destroyed. After clues are collected and Daphne and Scooby are free, it's time to catch the Red Knight. Shaggy and Scooby get the Red Knight to chase them through various sets, while Fred flips switches to open doors for them to pass through. This is a really fun chase, and there is some pretty good tension here, because as Shaggy and Scooby are being chased by the Red Knight, Fred is trying to flip switches to open a door so that they can escape into the room where the trap is. It creates some fairly good tension. I really enjoy it. But anyway, eventually the Red Knight is caught in the trap, and wouldn't you know it, it turns out it was Mr. Zabriskie who was haunting the studio.
Walter Peabody must have sent him pages from the Tome of Doom to scare away your cast and crew.
Knowing that this would force you to sell.
This level is the longest level in the game, and it feels like it. There is just so much to do here, from saving Daphne and Scooby to running through an Egypt set to flipping switches on some scaffolding. It's a long level and a little bit exhausting. It definitely needed to be cut down. But in the end, Shaggy and Scooby get the greatest reward of all. After Mayhem at the Movies, we get a little cutscene with the mysterious woman telling a mysterious man that Zabriskie was captured. A mysterious man who is framed like another cartoon character voiced by Frank Welker, the Claw. Next up, we have the level Weird Wild West, and find our gang going to a Wild West resort that Mr. Zabriskie was also trying to purchase, and that is, incidentally, also haunted.
I'm scared. Let's go back. Ruh.
Well, if you chicken out, that means no Western-style barbecue.
Yeah. Chicken barbecue.
The gang gets there, and they meet the owner of the resort, and they see the resort, and they also meet the owner's only remaining employee, Mindy Styles.
Allow me to introduce my only faithful employee, Mindy Styles.
$1 million says Mindy's behind the whole thing. This level is pretty cool and probably my favorite. Sadly, it's also the shortest level in the game. Here you get this cool contest between Shaggy and Scooby to see who can eat the most food in the dining room of the hotel. It's good fun, and I liked it, and it fit the characters, and it was a lighthearted break in the midst of all the mysteries and horrors.
Like every mystery should be this fulfilling.
The Scooby-Doo staple of being chased by a ghost through a bunch of doors is turned into a neat little mini-game here where Scooby has to chase a mysterious woman through a bunch of doors and guess the right one to continue onward. Scooby has to run through a dark basement carrying a lantern with a limited supply of fuel in an attempt to find Shaggy, who had fallen through the floor in the previous scene.
Check it out, there's some barbecue sauce left. I'll race you to it, old pal.
You then have to search a ghost town for sheet music to get a key from a piano, which makes absolutely no sense, but really, who cares? You also do several other puzzles in this area, as well as collect keys to access certain buildings like the bank and the school. You also get to rescue Fred from a jail cell.
Like, what happened, Fred?
I was investigating the cell when a mysterious woman locked the door behind me.
I really like this sort of puzzle-filled exploration section of the game. There are a few enemies to capture and some sandwich ingredients and some clues to get. But this section also leads to a part of the game that I dislike thoroughly, and that's the minecart section. You are in a minecart, and you have to dodge obstacles as you fly down the track at breakneck speeds. It sucks. You mess up once, and you have to start all over again, and you will mess up many, many times because everything comes at you so fast, you sort of just have to memorize everything, and it's really, 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 really long. This cart ride goes on forever. There are like 5 sections to it, and it sucks. Even Shaggy doesn't like it. There is some cool piano music that plays over this level, which is pretty good. All the music in the game actually is pretty fantastic. I mean, nothing really stands out as truly superb, but it all works together very well. The final boss of the level is a giant tornado that is spinning around a carousel with Daphne, Fred, and the resort owner on it. The boss fight is alright. When the boss fight is over, the bad guy is captured, somehow. It isn't really clear how the bad guy ends up getting captured once you defeat the ghost tornado, but anyway, it turns out to be Mindy Styles.
And to think she would have gotten away with it if it hadn't been for you young city slickers.
The humor in this game is pretty good, I have to say. Little jokes and gags are peppered throughout the game. It's nothing that will make you bust a gut laughing, but it's humorous and suits both the property of Scooby-Doo and the characters in the show. It's a fairly well-written game. The story isn't anything majorly deep, but it suits Scooby-Doo and is pretty competent. The next level is Bad Juju in the Bayou. There's a giant satellite atop a spooky mansion you find in the swamp. You have to search to find answers to why it's there. This level is pretty cool. It's actually the only really creepy level in the game. You're going to experience some more unique gameplay mechanics here. For instance, Scooby-Doo swimming and stealthing around alligators and army men. Yeah, army men. They're here because of all the zombies in the swamp. Yeah, swimming Scooby can dive under the water to hide, but has limited air, and there are zombies in the swamp. The water sections aren't bad, but they do overstay their welcome a little. I should also mention that the sandwich ingredients you find in each level are themed after the level, and in the Bayou level, you can get things like shrimp, peppers, fish, and other Cajun foods that you might put on a sandwich in Cajun country. And to be honest, all this talk about sandwich making makes me want to have a sandwich. At one point in the level, you do this really large pipe puzzle where you have to get water moving through these underground pipes to a fountain. It's a good puzzle. I liked it. It was difficult and challenging, but I felt it was well designed and did leave me with a feeling of satisfaction in the end, and did allow Shag and Scoob to get at some good gumbo.
Oh, no, not the gumbo!
Shag and Scoob find that Daphne and Fred are being captured by some military guys. They run, but Shaggy falls in some mud and then conks his head and stumbles around. This causes the military guys to think Shaggy's a zombie, and they throw him in a cell with the other zombies. It's at this point in the game that Scooby teams up with a Cajun kid named Billy Bob, and they make their way through the swamp to the military guys' camp, where Scooby distracts the military guys so that Billy Bob can save Shaggy from the zombie cage. It's an interesting little mini game where you lead some enemies around while a timer clicks down. After Shaggy is released, the 3 characters run away from the military guys all the way to Billy Bob's escape vehicle.
Getaway vehicle? More like a giveaway vehicle.
This game level, like the last level, has a sort of minecart level, only instead of a minecart, it's a little motorcycle race level. You aren't confined to a track here. This is actually more fun than the minecart. It doesn't necessarily take memorization, and I was able to get through it with more skill than luck. This is mainly due to having greater control over your speed and movement. There is a fuel gauge, so you have to collect gas cans the whole way, and it takes forever to get through these levels. It's a really long section of the game. Once Shag, Scoob, and Billy Bob get away, they meet up with Velma, and it's time for a boss fight, which consists of a bunch of zombies who are attacking the military truck containing Fred and Daphne. You also have to fight one giant redneck hillbilly zombie that vomits at you. It's an okay fight, but by now the fights are getting sort of old hat. After the battle, you find out that there really is no evil villain to unmask. The military guys are just hired hands who didn't know there was anything devious going on behind the events in the bayou.
Now wait just 1 minute. Are you saying there's foul play involved?
The gang learns that Greenwood Development was scaring people off land and then selling the land to their parent company, Sherman Tech. So the gang takes off to the final level of the game, Sherman Tech headquarters. This level finds Shag and Scoob stealthing around in various disguises to get past some security guards. You dress as security guards, but also as some wacky scientists. The white Scooby Fro is most noteworthy here. You solve a lot of puzzles here, and you get to control a robot or two to close some valves in a steamy room, as well as solving some other puzzles later on in the game. Eventually, you get to the part in the game where the ultimate plan is revealed. As it turns out, the mysterious woman we've been seeing is the lead scientist person at Sherman Tech, and the satellite things are actually mind control devices.
Antennae have been placed throughout the country. Soon we will use them to make everyone buy our products.
A fight ensues where a mind-controlled Velma, Daphne, and Fred attack Shaggy and Scooby while our protagonists run around a dangerous, lightning-filled lab pushing switches to shut down the mind-control devices. If I had a mind control device, I'd use it to make Daphne and Velma make out. So after you save the gang, Velma's old professor, Mr. Dinsdale, shows up, and it turns out he's a special agent for some unspecified organization in the government. He tries to take Sherwood and the mysterious woman hostage, but she gets away and summons fire ghosts that you can only catch after you put them through some water. Shag and Scoob fight their way back through the labs. The mysterious woman, who is named Selena Drake, reveals her master plan.
With the alpha wave modulator, I shall rule the world!
She unleashes a giant fire ghost as the final boss, and it's ultimately disappointing. I mean, it's challenging, but it's just a giant version of the ghosts you've been dealing with the whole game. It's sort of lame. You douse the fire ghost in some sprinkler water, Velma makes it rain with some of those mind control things, and then you fight the final boss for real with the Tomb of Doom. Tome of Doom. Once you win, there are some funny lines and the game is over. This isn't a bad Scooby Doo game. It has unique mechanics, some good writing, even though the story is a little odd. I mean, if I could control ghosts and I had a mind control device, I would not give a single crap about people buying my products. I would simply rule the world. Some levels in the game are okay, but even though it'll only take you 3 to 4 hours to complete the game, it does feel really long. In short bursts, it can be fun, and if you like Scooby Doo, you'll probably like this game. You are actually solving a mystery in this game as well. I mean, you are acting as a detective, which is central to the property. The only real mystery here in this game, however, is why in the world ghosts were needed for this plan to begin with. Why would you need to mind control people to get them to buy your products when you have the ability to raise the dead and control their will? Just take over the world and rule it with an iron fist. I mean, Jesus, come on. What's the point of having the power of God when all you do is to use it to scare people off some land for your giant real estate scam? I mean, what kind of Superman movie is this Scooby Doo game?
Land. It's the one thing they're not making anymore.